Grace Harding, it's good to have you here in the BizNews studio on BizNews' 9th birthday.
Happy birthday.
Yeah, and it's astonishing. I mean, if I think back to 2013, when we started, I thought we'd be lucky one day to get to 50,000 people coming to the website. Well, we're now at 400. So it just shows it's just been an incredible journey. But you're having a different journey. You're the CEO of Ocean Basket. And Ocean Basket would have been one of those companies really hurt by the lockdowns. Now, we published your open letter to landlords, and then we did an interview that has been read by more than 20,000 people, the post on BizNews, just to see what it is that anybody's going to be doing about the pain that organizations like yours have been through. Last time we spoke, and this is really an update on that discussion, you were talking about engaging with landlords, but only one of them had bothered to come back to your open letter.
Well, thanks for having me and happy birthday. Today I'm dressed in my non-Ocean Basket regalia.
Yeah, that's not so. Wow, what's happening? You got an interview, maybe?
During COVID, we started the Restaurant Collective, and I just happen to head up an amazing brand. But my role as the head of the Restaurant Collective is really the role that is trying to unify the restaurant industry and to form a collective. And that was really the platform for the conversation with the landlords, because I realized that there are so many of us, some of us the big groups, some the independents like Forty.
Who we spoke with last time,
who we do struggle, and there are a lot of assumptions. So since we last met, I did meet with Leon from Redefine online. It was a great meeting. And what I do realize is the assumption I made that there are assumptions was real. So on both sides, there were questions. So for example, one of his colleagues said, well, you really expect a lot from us, but what do you do for your franchisees? And I realized, well, they're not aware that we didn't charge royalties for nearly a year. We didn't ask for those royalties to be paid back to us. And I think it is all about conversation. I mean, that's what we're reading worldwide. So
was he suggesting that you were screwing your franchisees in the same way as landlords are screwing their tenants?
Yeah. I don't like to say that landlords are screwing their tenants. It could be too much of a generalist statement. You think
seriously,
they are?
I'd have a lot of feedback from SMEs who don't have the muscle of a big group.
Yeah.
And the landlords are saying, take it or leave it. Pay us. Yeah. Pay up. And it's really objectionable to begin with, the rents that are paid to smaller companies that are in shopping centers relative to the big chains. The smaller guys pay a lot anyway, a lot more. And now on top of that, there's this assumption, what did you do for your franchisees?
Yeah.
Because
and we do get that quite often, funnily enough. But I think that's why we've got to get together, because we've got to be more responsible to share more of that information. But it's not just about the big franchises, because we will have more clout, we have more tenacity. What about the little guys? That's the thing. The one-man bands, the restaurants in the malls, and not only the malls. The landlords come in all forms of shapes and sizes. But of course, the bigger ones like a Redefine or an Old Mutual, their money is pension fund money. They are expected to pay back the dividends. Then people expect their pension money. So there's all this complexity around, which I think it's not always that visible, and their approach to conversations with tenants needs to improve without a shadow of a doubt.
I think they're throwing you a line there.
Do you think so?
Completely. Their share prices are relevant to them because they get bonuses and share options based on their share prices. They don't really care about who owns the shares as long as the share price goes up. And now to throw to you, it's the pension funds are going to be upset with us if we don't charge you. That's right. That's a short-term quarteritis kind of focus. I believe, and I know that world. I did once have a listed company. I took a company to market, listed it, had to speak to asset managers, and truly, asset managers gone today, here today, gone tomorrow, depending on how they look at your company.
No, I'm very happy I don't work
nonsense.
for a public company. I was just saying to Clive.
That's Clive Eckstein, our commercial director.
Yes. So,
who you brought a cake for, by the way. Thank you.
I brought a cake for all of us. And I was just saying to him, I'm very, very close to famous brands. Darren is an amazing guy. And he often says to me, Grace, you're going to get into trouble. And I said to him, well, my second name is Trouble. But it is different, I think, being in a private company. And today I'm actually meeting with Broll, which is also a great sign. And there are so many others.
So you're meeting with Broll as the restaurant collective, not as
both and. Mm-hmm. Both and.
Who's Broll, for those who don't know?
Broll is a big property group. I don't remember the name of the man I'm meeting.
Well, you'll know before you get there.
Yes, I will. It's inside my phone. So at least the two of them have reached out. And I don't know if you're going to put this on air, but remember when I spoke to you and I
everything's
said to you,
on air. Everything we say
like
now
this.
is
Don't
public.
you edit it?
Not at all.
Oh, okay.
Not at BizNews.
Okay.
Nuh-uh.
Hi. But it's interesting because my colleagues, the new business team, they were a little bit rattled by my article, and they did get some feedback, not a lot, and when I said to me, Grace, landlords don't want to work with us anymore. And I said, which ones? All 250 of them. And they said, no. But they were clearly rattled because they did have a comment from one or two who said, well, you don't want to work with us anymore. So it was interesting, the variety of responses. The bottom line is we all have to get through this. We all have to be transparent, and the world has to move from I want a lot, you must give me, to we must all share some. That is the bottom line. And as a restaurant collective, we must stick together, and the restaurateurs must join the restaurant collective so we've got data and we can share information, because that's the most difficult thing. I mean, the restaurant collective started during lockdown. It was started by myself and Natasha Sedaris, the dynamo of Tasha's, who is conquering the world. And it's not a profit organization. It's got proper papers. It's got proper constitution, all of that stuff. And isn't it sad that in the hospitality industry, FedHasa is doing great work with their hotels and all of tourism, but the restaurant industry is like this lost second cousin. And a crisis is going to come, and the rent crisis is real because the expense lines are so out of control, and we are going to help restaurants. We've already got a solution to save money on oil, which we're going to share. There's the landlord thing, and soon is going to come the Zimbabwean problem.
What's that?
Which is the rumblings that have been around for in excess of 3 years to say, maybe we're not going to review the visas of the Zimbabweans. The hospitality industry only employs Zimbabweans, which is not true. And there are a lot of Zimbabweans because they are predisposed to being in hospitality. So this restaurant industry that is just trying to fight to get back on its feet, the knocks are going to come, and we've got to get together, and we've got to be proactive. That's the thing. We have to be proactive. And it's not about fighting with people, but it's about saying, we can't accept what's happening to us, and we want to talk to you so that we can reframe it.
I like a lot of that. It sounds like a trade union for entrepreneurs or for employers, the restaurant collective, that you'll speak with one voice. It's not unusual through history. No. Industries they compete, but there are ideas or areas of common interest. And they should be speaking in one voice. And it appears as though when you have a divide and rule policy, which clearly the landlords have always done, then maybe they need a little bit of stiffer resistance. Yeah,
so I do want to invite them all to a get-together. Let's see what happens.
All the landlords?
Yeah, why
not?
And
how many have actually responded? How many care?
I haven't invited them yet because I did a follow-up article on LinkedIn where I said, okay, let's get together. Who's interested? And it's really only Redefine and Broll who have started at least to reach out, and we're having conversations.
Well,
which
good
is
for
good.
them. But I'd say to the other guys, to Growth Point and the other industry kind of majors in property, more than 20,000 people read the last conversation that we had on BizNews, and many more also watch the or listen to the interview on our podcasts. That's a lot of people. And those people are now thinking, if your occupation is as a landlord, or if you work for Growth Point, or if you work for some of the other property owners, you're not a very nice person. So they spend this enormous amount of money trying to do PR and trying to make themselves look good. But the reality is there are many people for whom that is just wasted money. So perhaps they'll wake up and start realizing that the arrogance of the past isn't something they can take into the future.
I just want them to come.
You're scared. No, you're scared.
Yeah,
you're scared of them. You're scared that your guys are going to be charged more.
No. I'm not scared, because if, God forbid, a landlord phones us and says, I don't want you in my mall or in my property.
Oh, you let us know.
Because of this, God forbid. And I don't think it will happen. What I've learned in life is to test assumptions. So that's what I want to do, is I want to test the assumptions, and I need the restaurateurs, the restaurant industry, including the bigger groups, because they're not all sort of on board yet. I need them to come together, and we need to speak with one voice. That's what needs to happen. And one of the key focus areas is the landlords. Another one is dealing better with expenses, looking at how we use electricity. There is so much opportunity, and the labor thing is coming. I can smell it in the air, like the rain that you smell in the sky. So there is a lot of work to do. I do stick my neck out, and usually I stick it out with a lot of confidence. And I am not cautious about the consequence. I'm cautious to not be assumptive without conversation. I don't think that that's always healthy.
We spoke with 40, as you call him, yes. 40 Mazzoni last time. And I've just seen from his Facebook posts that he's become a little less unhappy. He was very upset at the time that we spoke with him. But it seems as though business as usual, or getting back to normal for him. Are you finding that as well with your franchisees? We
had a good July. We really did. We had a very good July, surprisingly. I mean, it is almost impossible to predict what goes on in this country. You know, you'll have a good month. There was all this load shedding, and it was a good July. And it's interesting what you say about 40, because that is the restaurateur, where we live for today. And what I'm trying to change with the Restaurant Collective is for us to become an industry that's a little bit more considered, that we plan more. But the way it works is, if business is terrible today, then I'm in a very bad mood. And if it's better, then I feel a little bit better. My phone did not stop ringing in the heat of COVID from all the restaurateurs, because we stood up and we said, okay, we're going to help you. And we weren't only there lobbying. We ran workshops online. We gave out standard of operations manuals to all restaurants. And the minute they started breathing again, they stopped phoning. So I've got a long journey to travel, and I'm very determined, because the restaurant industry is powerful, and it's important for our economy, and the staff's lives need to be uplifted. It's a tough job, and the pay is not great, and we've got to find a way to make their lives better. We have to do that.
What's a good percentage tip for talking about staff?
Well, globally, it seems to be 10%. In the UK, they put it on automatically, and some restaurants even put on 12%. The UK is such a different place. I mean, with our first restaurant, and we're about to give birth to another one with epidural this time, I hope. But in South Africa, it seems to be 10%.
If your waiter does a really good job, waitron, I guess you call them, and you normally give 10%, what should you give? 15?
I don't think it's about the percentage, because I think you calculate worth with money. So I was at my filling station the other day, and the same wonderful man came to greet me, and he remembered my child, and he asked me how I was, and I gave him 50 Rand. I mean, you would have sworn I gave him 5,000 Rand. So I don't think it's about that. My founder, the founder of Ocean Basket Fats, I've seen him go to a restaurant with me, and the bill's 2,000 Rand, and he gives them a tip of 5,000 Rand. But what's a good percentage? I also think it's about affordability. And they do have a tough time. I mean, there are many patrons who will leave the table giving nothing. And I also understand that because, we're all in a tough situation. So the entire industry has to shift. The entire industry has to present itself in a different way. We want to upskill the waiters. At the moment, we found a great training program, not to teach waiters how to sell, to teach them EQ, confidence, the muscles underneath the skill. It's like rugby. I love rugby. It's the muscles you've got to train before you go to learn the scrum. And once we have finalized this program, we are going to offer it to the entire industry because that's how you uplift it. That's how people earn a bit more. If they earn a bit more, maybe there'll be a little bit less shrinkage and they'll get to work on time and their uniforms won't be dirty and all those systemic problems that happen. And that's why the landlord thing is a big thing, because why don't we put together a canteen in a shopping center that we all share? I would contribute to that. And we put a washing machine in there and a tumble dryer, and the staff don't have to sit on an oil drum or on the pavement to rest.
Excellent. So interesting. I hear from my friends in KZN that Marcel van Olok, the CEO of Tsogo Sun, has been around to all the hotels. He's having a look, reassessing. Perhaps some of them are going to be closed. Perhaps some of them are going to be reinvested in. What have you been doing at Ocean Basket? Do you go and meet the guys and reassess? Good ones, bad ones?
So assessment happens in all forms, but
I'm talking specifically post-COVID.
100%. So I was in KZN 2 days ago, actually, and KZN's really taken a beating. I mean, what a beating they've taken. So I went to see all the people. Some of our staff were affected by the floods and the fires and the looting. So yes, we are assessing. We're very lucky we haven't closed many restaurants.
What's many?
Well, I think 3, but they were limping anyway. So
COVID put them out of their misery.
Yeah, COVID sort of switched off the life support machine. But the suffering is now because a lot of landlords are demanding that we pay back. Like the one example I gave where a landlord wants a payback of 180,000 Rand a month, but from the money never came and we don't know where to get it from. And we'll have to just leave that mall. That's what we're just going to have to do. So we'll make a plan because this is all part of transformation, isn't it? So yes, we've been assessing. I was in Cape Town yesterday, and it's important to go into the restaurants because you can't run a business, just with BI tools and Excel spreadsheets. You've got to go and touch it and feel it. And I do see a little bit of not looking after the table so well, the chair's a little bit broken and those things. And it becomes difficult because, to shout at a franchisee and say, fix the chair, spend 5,000 Rand, fix all these things. They also haven't been people who have invested money and saved. And those who did save, they spent their money during COVID. So many of them kept all their employees. They paid them some money. They gave them food hampers. So the real pain of COVID is being felt now.
It shows maybe then that what Forty told us, excuse me, what Forty told us last time I spoke with you and he said that he'd used all of his pension or all the money he'd put there to keep going, the resilience of the South Africans. Yet when you have a look in the UK, so many of those franchisees literally have just given up. GBK is a very good example. You mentioned famous brands before, but that group that they bought, I think they closed half or 3/4 of the outlets because they simply walked away from it. There's some resilience here in South Africa. Maybe there are not that many alternatives.
It's incredible, the resilience. I mean, I was reviewing the other day. I think that we are busy renovating 15 restaurants. And you just wonder. And yes, of course, we've become more efficient and we spend less money and all of those things. So the crisis has also forced us as a franchisor to make better plans. But it is incredible. I mean, working now in the UK and in South Africa, you're comparing far more regularly. And we are resilient, and we certainly have a different approach to crises. I mean, look what's happening in the UK. I meet with business people in the UK and they say, oh my God, you've come to the UK now. And for a brief moment I go, oh my God, what have I done? And then what's the worst thing that can happen? They have electricity, they have roads, they have transport. Yes, the train strikes sometimes. You can walk across the street, there aren't potholes, the unemployed get money, too much money. It's a big problem.
For the moment, they get it. Stagflation's coming, interest rates going up.
So, and I think
they don't know change. Maybe that's the reason.
And it'll be a good thing because they'll work, they won't be so difficult to get stuck in. I mean, the plumber, you can't find a plumber in the UK. A plumber can charge you over £85 an hour.
When we went there to set up BizNews in the UK, the one thing that I brought back that I remember so well was going to the dump when you got rubbish to go and throw out in the weekend and seeing what is disposed of in the UK, whereas here it would be grabbed. Washing machines, they still work, but maybe an old model. Clothes, mountains of clothes. It's first world problems that they're dealing with now.
Wow.
And yet here,
what a good visit. I'm going to do that when I get there.
Go and have a look at a dump. It's an eye-opener. And you then say, is there really that much difference between the two countries? Close off with, we're getting quite a lot of positive feedback now on South Africa post-2024, a different government, a coalition taking power, a different way of focusing on the economy. I don't want to draw you into politics, but I'd love to know if this economy starts growing instead of 1.8% or 2% that we've been used to, which is hardly what our population's growing at 3, 4, 5, even more. What would happen to a sector like yours?
Sure. I mean, the sector is still growing. Yes, it's limping along, but first of all, we don't know how many restaurants closed during COVID because there's no data. And then we don't know how many reopened. But if we're going to use the famous gut, many did reopen. It will have a huge impact. I mean, I don't want to guess the numbers, but you will see real growth. Because if there's growth now, imagine if the economy does get its shit together. Imagine if we can control the electricity. Imagine if we can fix the basic things. The things that make the restaurant industry work are very, very basic things. But of course, the impact on those basic things does go back to the CEO of our country and how she is going to intend to run it.
Grace Harding, from your lips to God's ears. I'm Alec Hogg from BizNews.com.